Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Welcome to Coach the Coach, helping business coaches deliver more impact in less time. We're broadcasting live on the High Velocity Radio Show and the Business Radio X network. If you're a business coach and want to help more people make more money and own your backyard, go to brxteam.com. Lee, this is going to be a fantastic show. I feel like did we not do any last week because we were down south doing the Podfest thingy?
Yeah, I don't think we had a Coach the Coach last week.
Yeah, man, I was starting to suffer some withdrawals. We learned a lot down at Podfest. We got to do our talk. We met some neat people, and we'll do maybe even a whole show on that. But right now, it's the Jeremy. It's time to talk to Jeremy, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Please join me in welcoming to the broadcast founder and managing director with Epic Mission, Inc., Mr. Jeremy Turner. How are you, sir?
Doing very well. I appreciate it. And hope you guys are doing well also.
Well, Jeremy, before we get too far into things, can you share a little bit about Epic Mission? How are you serving folks?
Yeah. So Epic Mission, I can get into the whole nuts and bolts of we do this and we do that. But I think, in the words of Simon Sinek, let's start with why. So we believe that communities are better when they're thriving and resilient and hope-filled. And what we found is that, through my travels, and my colleagues' travels, there's so many communities around West Virginia in particular, but around our country and around the globe that maybe they've lost hope somewhere along the way. And we believe that, by working with individuals who have big dreams and helping them to foster turning those dreams into something real, we can actually restore this sense of resiliency and hope. And so what we do is we work to engage, encourage, and empower entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and small businesses so that they can go out and be the change that we wish to see in the world, that all of us wishes to see in the world. And what we envision is this future where these heroes of change that we refer to as entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and small businesses, where these heroes of change are equipped to move more confidently in the direction of their dreams, where they have what they need to go forth and conquer and do great works. So we do that through coaching, consulting, training, and a myriad of other support services.
So now in your travels, do you find that people do believe in the American dream, that they do believe that this is a viable path for them rather than kind of getting a job and working for someone else, to go at it on their own and to kind of be the change they want to be in the world like you described?
I think that unfortunately in some communities, some regions, perhaps that's been lost. And, many folks or communities have reverted back to a more linear path of, go to school, whether it's a trade school or university, or get some sort of training, get a job and work that job. And so we've almost institutionalized this entrepreneurial and innovation mindset out of many communities around the country where I've traveled. And so, that's part of the mission of Epic Mission, is to engage people at a very deep, empathetic level and begin to see the world as they see it, so we can help bring them back to where they have hope again, where they have hope of going and doing these things that are just sort of fleeting thoughts through their mind, and that others are saying, hey, cut that out, go get a job, quit dreaming. You got a family, or, you just need to quit dreaming. That's a pipe dream. You can't do that because you're from XYZ community and no one you've ever met has ever done that. So why are you different?
Well, we've been fortunate enough to work with Georgia State University, and last week we did a show, and one of their groups that they work with are refugees that are new to America, and Clarkston is a city adjacent to Atlanta that has a very large number of refugees. So I asked that the person that runs the kind of university program there in Clarkston, do the refugees that are coming here, do they believe in the American dream? And he felt that they were very bullish on the American dream, that was really that why they sacrificed everything to get into this country. is because they did believe that there is an American dream and that they would have an opportunity to make their dreams come true. So I hope that gives you a little hope and that keeps you kind of fired up in helping your community, that when people are coming from outside of America, they might believe in the American dream, maybe more so than people that are already here.
And, I've experienced that as well. Working with folks who've come from other countries. And it seems that they just haven't had the same experience of being told no so many times that, no, that's unrealistic. No, you can't do that, at least as far as you're beginning to live the American dream. So we do, in fact, have people coming from other countries who are better at living the American dream than we are, we that are here, because, we've lost our vision in some respects, and it's a shame. And so that's part of what energizes me every day to get up and lead this firm and go forth and help people dream again, because, without hope, what do you have? Right.
Right. Well, you need that to, but also the mouse has to get the cheese, right? You have to have some wins along the way. Mm-hmm. So anything you can do to help these people get some wins is fantastic. Well, let's talk about your work specifically. How are you going out there and serving these people and giving them the hope that they need to go forth and to serve others?
Thank you for asking that. So, this engagement piece is really, it's the first part of how we seek to go out and serve. And for us, engagement is more than just meeting someone or receiving their business card. Engagement is a very, very deep thing. It's very personal, and it requires a lot of listening and less talking. What I found is that many coaches and consultants that I've met or that I have worked with in the past, unfortunately, it's, at some point, perhaps they develop a better listening skill, but it's, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell you how to do this, and here's how it's going to be. Well, how do you know what someone needs if you don't listen? And how do you know what the real roadblocks are if you don't listen to them, if you don't ask and become and develop a deep empathy with them? So, we pull in methodologies from the concepts of design thinking and really seek to engage first so we can understand at a very, very deep visceral level. And so what help looks like from there is based on what the individual or organization needs. It could be some individual coaching, it could be some group coaching. Maybe they need deep consulting. They need strategic planning to help. They need some culture redevelopment. It could be, perhaps they need some grant writing. They could need many things, but we don't know what those things are if we don't ask. And then if we don't just be quiet for a moment and listen. And again, there I think is, coming in with, well, I have your solution because I reviewed your website or whatever. Again, I think the listening piece is really key. So I'll be quiet and listen for a moment. I'll take some time.
Well, what's your backstory? How did you get into this line of work? Were you always serving entrepreneurs?
No, I was an entrepreneur. Well, at least I came to realize that. So growing up in Huntington, West Virginia, we didn't really talk about entrepreneurship much. I don't recall ever having heard that word and didn't really understand it. It was this fancy French word, and I have no idea what this means. And, when I finally did hear it, I began to dig in and I got very curious about it. But so I was a kid that did really well in school, but just I wasn't one of those that said, I know exactly what I want to do for a living. I'm going to be an attorney or whatever. So my path, I meandered through many things and found that I was really good at solving problems, of asking good questions and listening, and then beginning to solve problems and teach and train and develop and empower people. And, through my professional career of I worked for some very large international corporations and international nonprofits. And I've done a lot of startup in both the for-profit and nonprofit space, and found that, specifically, once you get to a certain revenue level, there are lots of options for consulting and coaching. But you can't be big if you're not good at being small first. And it's really the details that separate mediocrity from greatness. So who was really helping the startups, the early stage, the idea stage organizations, for-profit, nonprofit? And I found that there weren't a lot. And, there were people that wanted to help, but perhaps it was they truly wanted to help. They didn't have the acumen or the experience or whatever. And so, I found that there was a hole in the market and there was a need, and I had experienced this need when I was on the other side, launching businesses and such. So Epic Mission really came out of my own observations and my own frustrations with needing help at different junctions in my life and not being able to find the help I needed that was very ground level, practical, taking complex ideas and bringing them down to a simple level that I can bite off in small chunks and easily digest. But it's not just about the knowledge, it's about the application, because that's what turns knowledge into power. And so rather than coming in and using a bunch of big fancy words and trying to sound smart, we are focused on let's understand the problem first and deliver a solution that truly meets the needs, so that this problem can be alleviated, not the symptom, but the underlying cause. And so that whatever we share can actually be implemented, because if there's no impact, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't have done the work. We shouldn't have gotten paid for it.
Now, how do you discern like a startup from an entrepreneur, from a small business? And then I know you lump nonprofits in there, and I would imagine that some of these people, when they first start their nonprofits, in some ways, maybe not the way you mean, but how do you kind of discern these different types of niches inside of this umbrella that you're working with?
Well, so the different buckets, entrepreneur, nonprofit, small business, is really more about targeting for marketing purposes. But at a very basic level, we don't really care which one of those buckets you might fit in. We just want to help. And what we found is that sometimes folks, they may shy away from entrepreneurship because of their value system around how they value money. So they think the only way to do good in the world is to go launch a nonprofit. When the way that I believe and the way that we work within my firm is that doing good and doing well, making money and changing the world aren't mutually exclusive things. And so, nonprofit is not the only method by which you can go out and be the change we wish to see in the world. So how we differentiate is, how do people self-identify, and so that allows us to at least begin the conversation. Do you identify as a nonprofit person? Great, let's chat. Are you an entrepreneur? Okay, perfect. Let's talk about that.
Now,
does that make sense?
Yeah. So you treat them all the same in a similar manner, though. It begins with listening and then really trying to help them achieve whatever outcome they desire.
Indeed. Yeah. So where are you? Where do you want to be? And what are the steps that it takes to get there? Let's take some inventory. Where are you? What resources do you have? Let's discuss potential roadblocks, either real or perceived. And, let's design some solutions for getting around those, or, maybe we need to take a different direction. So, I get to teach entrepreneurship at a college level, and I get to practice it every day. And so, we look at these ideas, not necessarily judging the idea, but, we need to look at what option are you going to take? Are you going to make a big change? Are you going to pivot? Are you going to make a small adjustment and iterate? Do you just continue doing exactly what you're doing and persevere, or do you quit? So, we have to, find out what's going on with someone. What is their idea? Where do they want to go? So we can begin to, teach them accordingly and empower them so they can, we're not going to make the decisions for them. We want to empower them so that they are now better equipped to make decisions. It's not our decision to make. It's not our business. It's not our dream. And we can't love it more than they do.
Right. Now,
it's frightening when you don't understand.
Well, you can't do the work for them. They got to want it more than you do. But
Indeed.
Is there any meaning behind Epic Mission? Did you intentionally choose the word epic because you believe this work is that important?
Yeah, absolutely. This work is, there's many things that I can go do to earn a paycheck. This is way more than that. This is a calling for me. This is why I'm on this earth. And during this chapter of my life, I'm going to go at it as hard as I can. You've heard me describe these heroes of change, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, small businesses. They are the heroes because they're creating new products and services, and they're bringing jobs to communities, and they're filling holes in our communities, filling gaps of service. And I think that work is heroic. And so you think about the classic hero's tale, the epic hero's tale. There's a cycle to that, to the classic hero's tale. And so what we seek to do with Epic Mission is to meet these heroes of change wherever they are along their journey. And first of all, we're not going to judge them, because who really wants to be judged? So we're not going to judge. We're going to instead engage and begin to find, what do you need and how can we help you? What does that look like? What does that sound like? So yes, the name Epic, and it's an acronym as well. You may have seen that. It stands for these 4 stages of development, and also is an acronym for our values. So the 4 stages are: we want to empower people because they may have an idea or a vision for something, but they might need a nudge. They might need just a little bit of push or a cheerleader for a moment. P is process. How can we create systems and processes and begin to formalize and structure things so that we can have proven, predictable, repeatable results? I is impact. Are we doing what we think we're doing? Because what we measure will improve. And C is capacity. Going wider, going deeper, going both. But if you have something amazing, you should seek to enrich that and deepen it, or take it to open another office or bring in another partner, what have you. And so then, the things that we value empathy, because without that, what do we have? It's a transactional service without empathy, and that's not what we're about. We value practicality, because fancy doesn't matter. We just need to know it works. Impact, again, impact is so important that we have it on our name and our values, because if it's not making a difference, then it doesn't matter. It's a waste of everyone's time and money. And community, we value community. That's why we do this work. And community, not just in the physical sense, we value that as well, but in the sense of having a place to belong, feeling like you belong, and the ownership rights that come along with belonging. In the words of Peter Block, as he describes these dual meanings for belonging. That's really the story behind Epic and this hero's tale, and what we value and what the stages of our work look like.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Coach the Coach, helping business coaches deliver more impact in less time, featuring founder and managing director with Epic Mission, Inc., Mr. Jeremy Turner. If you're a business coach and want to help more people make more money and own your backyard, go to brxteam.com. Jeremy Stone Payton here. I've been listening into your conversation with Lee, and I particularly appreciate what you've had to say about listening and about meeting your client where they are. To give you some context, I am not out in the marketplace as a coach, but I do find myself fulfilling that role, wearing that hat here at the Business Radio X network, in that we have studio partners across the country. We hope to have a great many more. And I do find myself in that coaching, playing that coaching role. One of the things that occurs to me often when I'm on the phone talking with these folks, and sometimes I say it out loud, sometimes I bite my tongue, but I think almost always, are your goals, are your dreams too small? And because I feel like they could be reaching for so much more. So in one breath, I'm feeling that and wanting to try to tee up a conversation where they'll genuinely entertain that question. And then in the next breath, I'm thinking to myself, who are you, Stone, to superimpose your value system on them? Maybe they don't want to make that much money or reach that number of people. Maybe they're perfectly content and are right in their groove doing what they're talking about doing. So I don't know. I guess I would sincerely appreciate any counsel you might have to me and other coaches about what are our obligations and what should we do to properly help our clients navigate this topic.
Well, I love it. And I take my own medicine on this often, because I feel like, just back up if any of us are in this work, if we're out there coaching people, we're dealing with people's lives and their dreams. This isn't just about a paycheck, and it shouldn't ever be for any of us. This is real, deep, meaningful work. If we're just on this journey for a paycheck, we can go get a job anywhere doing anything. So this concept of, are we dreaming too small? There's a fellow West Virginian by the name of Steve Harvey, who you may recognize the name, his talk show and the many other things he does. And he put out this video. It's on, you can find it on YouTube. It's pretty cool. He talks about taking the lid off the jar, and it's all about dreams. It's all about dreaming too small, or, in fact, turning your dream machine on and dreaming big. And in it, he tells a little bit of this personal story about, people not understanding his dreams and telling him that he's dreaming too big and he needs to chill out and get back to reality. And he says, it gives a couple pieces of practical insight in there. If you have time to do everything that anyone asks you to do, you're dreaming too small. If you talk to people all around you and they all understand your dreams, you're dreaming too small. If you feel like you can accomplish your dreams pretty easily without the help of others, you're dreaming too small. So those are some of the filters that I run things through when I'm dreaming big. And I am a big dreamer, but I'm also a doer. And so I found through my life, especially, since, say the launch of Epic Mission and working through the things that we do, people don't get me. Generally, people don't get it. They don't. I talk about Yoda and do or do not. There's no try. And I've got Yoda stuff all over just as a way to cue me in. I talk about world domination. People don't get that. And I don't mean it from a very stingy standpoint. I'm not Jabba the Hutt, making another Star Wars reference. I'm about, getting out and being in front of a ton of people and helping as many people as I can as part of my personal human legacy while I'm on this earth. And so, dreaming too big, I can encourage other people to dream bigger. I don't, to your point, I don't know that it's imposing my own value system on them, because I can't tell them what their dreams are, but I can nudge them and challenge them a bit to say, are you dreaming big enough? Tell me, what is your dream, and walk me through this. Do you have time to do everything anyone asks you to do? Do other people get what you're trying to do, and do they agree with you? And can you achieve your dreams without the help of anyone else? And so, I do that regularly with my clients as well. Are you dreaming too small? I don't believe we were created to dream small.
Well, I sincerely agree, and I also greatly appreciate having some structure to help me tee up that question in a way that is not condescending or, putting them on edge. I think what a great way to challenge them to really think that through. I thank you for that. I'm glad I asked. Absolutely.
Now, Jeremy, part of your mission is to really serve the West Virginia community. Can you talk about maybe a quick pitch for West Virginia and why that's such a great place to do business?
It is. So as an entrepreneur, let me back up. West Virginia appears at the top of most every worst list out there. Forbes doesn't have a very favorable opinion of West Virginia when it comes to places to do business. We have lots of people leaving the state, 10,000 or so every couple of years. We've had declines in major industry. We've got high rates of heart attacks and heart disease and diabetes and other health issues, and we have rampant addiction. We have young people living, dying, and going to jail, leaving and going to jail. And so, most people would see those as obstacles, but as an entrepreneur, I see that as opportunity. Not just from a business standpoint, from a very personal standpoint of working with other people so that we can amplify one another's impact to go forth and make big things happen and continue to happen in West Virginia, to be the change that we all wish to see in the state. From a business standpoint, if we can do things here in West Virginia where we seem to have everything stacked against us, certainly we could do these things elsewhere. So we can provide great proof of concept. If we can accomplish certain things here, we can do them anywhere where there are more resources or there are different mindsets. So I moved back to West Virginia in 2016 to focus more closely on doing business in West Virginia. I work all over the place, throughout the East Coast and such, into the Midwest. But my focus is on West Virginia and Appalachia and helping here. Not that I'm a savior, because I'm not. That's not my point of view. But perhaps I'm part of the puzzle, and perhaps with my help and the help of many others, we can complete the puzzle and go forth and be that change that we all wish to see in West Virginia and Appalachia, across the country and around the globe.
So before we wrap, do you mind sharing some actionable piece of advice? And in your case, I guess you deal a lot with entrepreneurs and small business people. Can you maybe share a piece of actionable advice for them to, if they're on the brink of deciding, hey, I'm going to do this, or maybe I should or shouldn't do it, but say they take the plunge and are going to join the world of entrepreneurship, what is a piece of actionable advice that can help them kind of help their learning curve shorten?
Yeah, so I would say two things. One is don't think that you have to do it all yourself. That's one mistake that I see often is one person thinking they have to do everything. And the mistake's the difference between investment and expense. I need to do this as cheaply as I can, therefore I can spend no money on anything. Well, I like to do things inexpensively also, but I understand the difference between an investment and expense. An investment, I'll find a return on that. So if that's coaching, if it's consulting, if it's hiring a graphic designer, or an attorney to help me get my business set up properly on the front end, that's an investment. An expense, I would see as me spending my time doing things that I'm terrible at, hoping that I'm going to be great at it one day, or today when I have help available. So there's that. And the other piece of it is to stay curious. I think curiosity is our great human superpower, and we shut it down too often. And whereas an entrepreneur shouldn't have to try to do everything in their business, that's no excuse for not going out and learning and being curious and having a growth mindset and maintaining this lifelong learner mentality. So use free resources, go on Coursera, take a class, go to the library, read a book or listen to an audiobook. But stay curious, continuous learning, and seek help and understanding the difference between investment and expense. That will save time and money and heartache, and it may just help you achieve what it is you set out to do on the front end.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing your story today. If somebody wanted to learn more and have a more substantive conversation, what are the coordinates?
Fantastic. So we have a 1-800 number that anyone can call. It's 1-800-507-4048. And we've got various extensions on there. Mine is extension 700. You can reach me there. You can visit our website at yourepicmission.com, yourepicmission.com. And you can contact us through the website as well.
Well, good stuff. Thank you again for sharing your story. Your work is so important in West Virginia and in all the other communities that you work in. Thank you for being a guest today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I wish you well on the rest of your journey.
All right. This is Lee Cantor for Stone Payton. We will see you all next time on Coach the Coach Radio.